Stay free with me, Russell Brand. I think we're sort of witnessing a kind of mass unconsciousness, or at least a requirement, I should perhaps clarify, for a new consciousness that is not being born. I think that we are starting to experience what happens with overt secularism, a reliance on materialism and rationalism. When you talk about the experience that can happen in a sort of secular culture, congregationally, in a theatre, it's something that most people don't have a version of. I know that there are sort of a lot of people that have a religious faith, certainly in America, but it feels to me that we don't have a shared set of values anymore that allow us to have inclusivity, that allow us to acknowledge that human beings are by default fallible. The Solzhenitsyn line that the line between good and evil runs not between nations and creeds and races, but through every human heart. The possibility for redemption, the possibility for failure, the possibility for growth. Like, even if we take where we started this conversation, moving from a position of broadly accepting the measures were necessary in order to countenance a new and novel threat, to hang on, we've given too much authority to people, they're not even playing by the rules of science that they laid out for us as being the reason for these measures. Like that conversation isn't possible anymore. We're not being afforded the right to have that conversation. And the same thing's playing out around Russia, the same thing's playing out around conversations around gender and identity, that censorship and the granting of this sort of paternal authority to a state that always offers us safety, to a corporate sector that always offers us convenience, all the while, I think, banalizing the human experience, turning us into data, extracting the possibility for wild and organic connections between one another and a connection to the planet. It seems to me that unless this conversation really broadens out and allows a little polarity and allows a little bit of mud in, that we're going to end up somewhere sort of sanitary but very ugly.
Could it be that this is a new religion? Because it's acting like a religion.
Yeah.
It's dogmatic, it's absolute. It's, if you do not believe in it, you are condemned to hell. It's, maybe this is a new religion.
Yeah, do you think that it's being posed as politics, but it's behaving like a religion?
It seems like it. It seems like it has some of those aspects, at least. I think it's worth thinking about.
Did you note that I used the word apostasy at the very beginning?
I did. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
That's what I was going to see for. Apostasy in front of a Christmas tree is...
That's the kind of visual paradoxes, Tim, that we're looking to create here. Yeah, it's extraordinary, isn't it? I suppose, look, there was a time where people didn't like entertainers even to have opinions. Oh, who are you to like an actor, like a decorated actor, but nonetheless, who gives a shit what you think? And now...
I still think that.
That's still part of the conversation.
That's okay.
But now it's becoming increasingly necessary. There's more likely to be entertainers and comedians that raise anti-authoritarian points because the dominant culture has become so sanitized.
Well, most won't, right? I mean, listen, I don't blame them. It's I'm at an age, a stage in my career where I'm not that concerned with that, I like the idea of remember when we were young, if you were really successful, you retired when you were 60. And then, you could retire at 65. And now it seems like nobody retires anymore. Yeah. The idea that we could, you work your life to gain something and then you just retire. Right? Nobody wants to retire.
Yeah.
And what is that all about?
I suppose it's like the purpose has become work. Your purpose is your ability to participate in the system. And also, now that attention is mined, I don't even just mean data mining, but your attention is co-opted and continually owned, that your work doesn't finish when you go home. You're continually available for work on screen. That your value as a human being is your value to the system. And that's what affords us the ability to have true vagrancy.
Your value to the system last week, right? Not in toto. Yeah, that's another thing about show business that's a little weird is that, you're only successful if you're recently successful. Yeah. And so we're kind of programmed to think that we always must reinvent or do better than we've done before in order to be considered significant. There's no respect for what you've done, right? And I've been so lucky to have been in a movie that is considered to be like most people's favorite movie, right? The Shawshank Redemption. It's constantly on IMDb as like the top choice of their favorite movie, right? And I can say, well, I can't up on that. I can't get better than so I don't put the pressure on myself to try to continue to outdo my previous success, which I think is a fool's game as an artist, because you should be able to be content with, or any profession for that matter, you should be content with your achievements and not feel less about yourself because you can't do another Shawshank Redemption, right? It's
two. This time it's personal.
This time it's personal. Andy and Red and Steve Watanabe, Girls Gone Wild.
What happened on that beach? You can only decorate that boat for a couple of months. Once it's seaworthy, spring break. How to annihilate the legacy of that. I was just thinking there while you were talking about it, that it's a story about like innocence and how it's irrelevant that you are innocent if you are condemned. That's sort of kind of a Kafkaesque idea. And then I was thinking about what is the redemption that we're talking about. The redemption is that Morgan Freeman's character recovers spirit as a result of the love between the two protagonists.
I deal with this all the time in prison, you know, when we have
you've gone all into prison. They must like to see you there.
Yeah,
how many
they
people
do.
Go, have you got a teaspoon and a poster of Betty Davis?
But what I'm constantly reminded of in those environments.
What is your prison work, by the way, just for people that don't know?
Okay, so we're in 14 yards in 12 prisons in the state of California. We have rehabilitative programs. We go in and we take a disparate group of people from different gangs, different races, and we take them through theater exercises, theater games, and then we teach them about the characters of the Commedia dell'arte. And through these characters, this character being the buffer, it's not them expressing the emotion, it's the character, the Pantalone or the Arlecchino, expressing the emotion. Yeah. We allow them to express emotions that are inaccessible, for the most part, in prison, or at least emotions that can compromise them or their safety in prison.
What,
like fear. You don't show fear in prison. You don't show happiness. You don't show sadness. You'll be trounced. Your only fear, your as they say, our mask, is anger. And what these exercises allow are this liberation of, hey, I am worth more than just being an angry person. I have these other emotions. And when they are expressing them with each other in a room, it becomes liberating for them and rehabilitative for them. One particular exercise that we take them through is we take them to a funeral of one of the characters. And they all have to put a flower down on the grave and say something under their breath, words of goodbye to this person they either loved or didn't love. And then they stand around the grave. And then the facilitator says, now look at each other. And that's a moment where change happens, because they see in the eyes of their former enemy a human being with empathy and sadness, and they have a shared sadness together. They see the humanity in that person, and it's a moment that changes people. And the whole exercise, all the exercises, change people so that they create these bonds with each other that are deep, that happen in this room. And you know, one of them told me once that, you know, occasionally they'll be told there's going to be a fight on the yard tomorrow, right? And they all have to be tribal. They have to be in their own racial group or their gang, and they have to fight against other racial groups or gangs. And a couple of them came up and said, you know what we did? You know, this is two people that were in separate gangs. They said, what we did was we found each other during the fight, and we rolled around on the ground. We pretended to fight.
Oh Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah. And this is what reason I brought it up is because I am totally convinced, and I've witnessed personal transformations. People are capable of change.
Yeah.
And to condemn someone for something that they did, yes, they are serving their time. That's what society has prescribed for them. That is their punishment. They accept the punishment. They do the time.
Watch entire episodes on demand for free at rumble.com/Russell Brand.